Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Our View.
This show that explores the topics from our seat in poverty and the way it shapes our world.
Tonight we're going to be discussing access to good health and preventative health, and our guest is Gloria Kolodziejczak, a member of Trinity Lutheran Church where Co-op is housed. Did you notice our pretty new shirts, Miss Gloria?
Yes, I did, and I was wondering if there's a way to purchase some of those.
There is. I'm so glad you asked. So these are made by our sewing hub, which is also housed in Trinity, of course, and it's called Cricketing, and they emboss these out of vinyl and press them into the shirts. We do custom designs, but we also have a wide selection of colors and variety of t-shirts and hoodies. You can purchase them on site at Trinity Lutheran Church in our boutique, or you can order them online from our website.
Okay.
So they're also starting to do seamstress and alterations in the sewing hub, and we're open. Again, the building's fully open post-pandemic. So please, if you have alterations, you need a pair of pants hemmed, if you're like me and you're short and you buy that dress and you buy it in your size, it's still always this much too long. I just take it into the sewing hub and they whack it right off. And, well, as Val's granddaughter says, they cut your legs off and then they hem it under. So please support your local co-op and buy co-op merchandise and use our sewing hub.
Absolutely.
So,
it's on our website.
What we want to talk about tonight is the work that Trinity is doing. Because I guess this term is probably way overused, but food desert. We're located in Post-Franklin neighborhood, and there's not a lot of places there where you can access good, healthy food. So Trinity has gardens. How did that get started, and why do you do that?
Well, it started, I believe, a little over 10 years ago when we seen that there was a great need in the community for food that would be accessible to all those who may not have transportation to get anyplace else, and plus it would be good, healthy food. And we always encouraged the neighborhood, the co-op members, the members of the church to volunteer their services. Obviously, when you have something like that, you can't do it one-on-one.
Right.
It's a large undertaking, you know. And we start around the middle of May, and start to rototill the grounds. You know, we have 3 plots that we're right now using, and probably could use more if we could get the volunteers to help work it. So once that ground becomes broken and we can have access to it, then we begin to plant. We have a few volunteers that know when to plant, when not to, you know, how to take care of it. We wish we had more people, but, you know, we do what we can, and we do a marvelous job.
Absolutely.
But once again, it's the need that we wanted to cover. So we plant and then we harvest. And, you know, I can go into more of that, or later on maybe
And then the food
come back.
is just distributed to whoever wants it in the neighborhood.
That's correct.
And how do people in the neighborhood find out that there's fresh food from the gardens?
Well, if they listen online on Sunday to the sermon, our pastor, Schurston, always mentions, you know, the garden, you know, and the access to it. But I'm not sure that people understand, in the neighborhood at least, that you can come yourself. We aren't there to necessarily serve you.
Right, you can just come and pick a zucchini yourself.
We have our own picking days, which are Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. But you are free, you know, anybody is free to come in the community or in the neighborhood to do their own picking, asking that they, you know, pick what they need. And we also, once we get into harvesting more, right now it's, you know, kind of hit and miss, but when all the garden is fully developed, then we will have a lot more. And to Georgetown Estates, which are located right next door to the church, they know about it, and they know that they're free anytime they want to, you know, to come over and once again take, you know, what they need and what they can use.
And there's plot space available too, right? So like in the spring of 2022, if I wanted to put a garden in at Trinity and help and maintain the gardens, I could come and ask for a little space for myself to be rototilled. There's also garden boxes that are there.
We
still?
used to have the boxes. I'm not sure what the condition of those boxes are, and we have given some of those away.
Oh, okay.
When they weren't properly maintained.
Okay.
But as far as the plot, yes, that's why we at Trinity have taken use of all of the plots right now because we had nobody else. At one time, we did have co-op members, you know, that were taking advantage of that and using it. But, you know, definitely, you know, we'd be more than happy to give up a portion of that, you know, to maintain, because it is a large area to maintain and to keep weeded and watered and so on and so forth.
Right.
And so there is no problem with giving it away, like people take it, right?
Right. We just ask, obviously, when they take it, you know, that it be usable for them, and because they can come every day if they want. And we do, if I could mention, we also have a weekly pickup of produce that we pick on a Tuesday morning that we give to our sister church, St. Peter Lutheran, because they have a food pantry every Tuesday. And anybody can come to that, you know, even Post Neighborhood, anybody can come to it. You drive up in your car and your service, you know, there. It's a large one. So, you know, last week we gave, I think, 15 bags of picked food for them that day.
Oh,
you know, and that's a weekly, you know, thing.
And then Trinity also supports the pantry that's there in Post Franklin neighborhood as well.
Yes, we do take a small portion of that produce down there. Myself, I work at the food pantry at United Methodist Church, is the food pantry that we are associated with. And we work the first Tuesday of every month. And we do supply, but there's other food there. Now you do have to, in order to have access, which would mean the Post neighborhood, in order to be able to access that food pantry, you do have to live in that certain neighborhood.
Right.
And there's other ones around the city, but we do, so we help out there not only while our volunteering, but we do supply them with some of the produce.
And when we did some research for this, if you're interested in where your local pantry is, you can either call the Food Bank of South Central Michigan, or you can look on their website, and there's a little tab that you click, and it'll tell you exactly the date and time of the food pantries in your area.
Yeah, as co-op production team did the research for this topic, we kind of wanted to give Battle Creek an A+, because we thought that there were many community gardens in the different neighborhoods that we found. There is one at Post Factory too. I'm not sure how much they're growing there now because of the pandemic, and then post-pandemic if it's active and viable right now. But we found that all of the neighborhoods had community gardens. There's an excellent program at Grace Health in partnership with the food bank. It's called Fresh Food Pharmacy.
Okay.
And so anybody who is diagnosed with an issue like high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, they can sign up for this Fresh Food Pharmacy, and they deliver every 2 weeks a box to your house that has recipes in it and fresh food. And so you can prepare these new healthy meals for yourself, and those things can be supplied for you. They also, at 10 o'clock on Mondays, Grace Health gives fresh food to anybody that wants it. So we thought that there is really good access to fresh food around town. The issue with it was maybe transportation, because if I can't get to all of the food banks. And then when we talked to membership, and then we kind of knew this too because of a funny story, so we're housed in Trinity Lutheran, of course. And they have a wagon outside of our office that you guys collect food from church members and anybody who wants to donate. So if you want to donate food, we have a wagon outside our office, and that goes to the food pantry.
Correct.
And at one point, there were chickpeas that were given out.
Yes, that's true.
And our members saw that the wagon was there, and they wanted to donate, and they didn't want the chickpeas because they didn't eat them, and so they would donate them. And then one of the members of Trinity would take them to the food pantry, who would redistribute them to our families, who would bring them back to the wagon. So it was like these same cans of chickpeas, we felt like circled the building a whole bunch of times.
Yes.
But we thought that our community did a really nice job on food access.
Yeah, we do have, that's the thing, we do have the access, and I think along with the transportation, it's the communication. Mm-hmm. We need to get the word out better. Now, I don't know whether we can put something in the local shopper that comes, throughout the neighborhoods. I don't know if once a month or something could, some little blurb or something could be put in that magazine. Other than that, it comes from members coming into the co-op, maybe, and hearing it verbally from you, or going online, to listen to our church service or something, and then it is mentioned there.
Yeah, I will agree with you. I think marketing, because a lot of our folks didn't know that there was that many pantries in town.
Correct. That's correct.
Folks who did have transportation, for example, didn't know that they could go from our neighborhood out to the Wayne Road distribution and food pantry out there. So we had a lot of fun researching it. I think that I really feel like we get an A+ in Battle Creek for making fresh food available.
Definitely.
To residents.
Definitely.
I don't think that all the residents know and are taking advantage of it, and that might be an education piece and a marketing piece that we could need. Well, we have this wonderful community foundation, so maybe some intelligent person needs to walk up the street to the community foundation and say, help us market all these great things that are going on. One of the other things for preventative medicine for me was if you get if you're far enough into poverty and you get Medicaid, generally all of your expenses are covered for preventative care. But if you work and you have insurance, there are co-pays that are attached to it.
Sure.
So I know, like for me personally, my doctor's been trying to negotiate the colonoscopy thing, because once you get over 50, you have to have this colonoscopy. Yep. Secretly, I think I could come up with the money, but I really don't want the colonoscopy. But it really is a big expense to my family budget. My copay will be $600 to get this done. And I think about other working families too, that sometimes we might skip out of that preventative medicine because we can't afford to pay the copays to it.
That's true. That's true. And you end up in the emergency room, if not because you've let things go, because you haven't had the opportunity.
The preventative care.
Right, you haven't had that, and that's very important,
It just seems like sometimes those working class families that are earning the little bit lower size wage can be devastated by a family illness because of that.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be a big catastrophic illness. It could just be an illness.
That's right. Yeah.
So, Gloria, why is it so important to Trinity to be able to do this work?
Well, I don't know how many people know, but our original church was in the neighborhood on Illinois Street. And when we had outgrown that church, because we had a great evangelism team, that was in the community all the time. And when we decided it was time to enlarge our church, our first criteria was we want to stay in the neighborhood because we know there's a need in this neighborhood that's not being serviced, whether it be church-wide, that they want that kind of service in their community, or just a friendly neighbor. So when we decided that was our top priority, we moved just down the street a few blocks and built our new church in 1974. So we felt, like I say, that was a need, and we had more room where we could. At that point in time, we didn't know about the community garden. That wasn't in our plans. But we held a lot of potlucks, a lot of activities, that would draw the people. Vacation Bible School was a godsend, for the community. And we had, many, many children.
Freedom School, too, you used to do that. I
Right,
can remember
right.
when I first started.
Then it was family camp,
Right.
It evolved. But that was our priority. We want to minister to the community.
And those opportunities came with a chance to relax and have a place to enjoy your family and have some fun, but there was also a meal attached to it always. I noticed that whenever Trinity does anything, there's always a meal attached to it. So even family camp, there's a meal each night, because you understand that sometimes these families aren't eating, right?
That's always been a big, at least I feel, it's always been a big Lutheran thing. We love to eat, and we love to. It's easy to talk over a meal, You know, you're free, you know, and you can talk and speak. So that always draws people in, you know, and once you have them there for that, then you extend what your outreach is.
I have to push back, though. I don't think it's totally a Lutheran thing, because there was that time when Jesus had just a few fish and a few loaves of bread.
The sermon this Sunday is all about the 5,000, you know, that were fed.
I thought you would say that.
Yes, it's very.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think it's just a people thing that we like to feed
true,
and come
true,
together around
you know,
food. But
right, that's right.
I think that it's commendable that we understand very much at Trinity Lutheran that that's an area where our families struggle, because where is the closest market? If you lived in Post Edition, where do you go to get some fresh food if you were just going to purchase it, say out of your food stamp dollars? Where would you go?
Horrocks.
Yeah.
Horrocks.
You know, which unfortunately has made the decision, I think it's finalized, I'm not sure, to move out to the Lakeview Square Mall. Myself, I think it's a bad move, but because of the fact that it's the only thing that has fresh, you know, fresh produce, fresh food, you know, milk, to meat, you know, everything. But
because even the stuff that's coming from the garden and the stuff that's coming from the food bank, this isn't meant for people to survive on. This is a supplement.
Definitely.
So when they're going to buy food in our neighborhood, we do research for these shows, so we talk to all of our member families. What Valerie and I found out was that our families that live in the neighborhood and don't have transportation buy their food from Penny Pinchers and Dollar General. And I'm not knocking either one of those places. I'm not here to bash businesses, but we all know that the healthy food choices are not there at either one of those locations.
Right. No.
And this is what our families are having to rely on, because they don't have the transportation to get out to Walmart or and I think I get really annoyed when people say to me, they could take the bus. Do you ever take the bus with 3 kids and go to the grocery store and try to cart your 3 kids home on the bus with all those groceries?
And the bus has a limit of how many bags you can bring on the bus.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, I don't have those types of struggles. I'm very lucky, you know. If I need a bag of oranges or a bag of potatoes, I live outside of the city. I mean, quite a ways outside. I can jump in my car
and go.
You know, and go wherever I need to go whenever I want, and not worry about, you know, how I'm going to get there, or am I going to be able to feed my family because I can't get to a local store. You know, and I'm hoping that when Horrocks or whatever does leave, that there'll be some consideration within the city to try and bring something that's similar to that into.
Well, we have the farmers market through the summer, though, too, right? That's downtown, so most people should be able to access that. And can you not? You can use Bridge card for that as well. And I think that WIC has some programs
coupons,
where you get coupons. So if you have small children, you can get some access. But I don't think it goes, you know, quite community-wide. Like, everybody doesn't get access that way. Because we have folks that don't receive food assistance, but they're certainly still struggling to get food, but they work, so they don't necessarily get the food stamp assistance. But again, I think that we get an A+ as a community for providing lots of different venues. You're going to be in trouble too, because you didn't mention your friends from Sprout. And so
yes,
both of you.
I've been there before.
So you can get Sprout boxes.
Right. And also Sprout is looking into opening a deli and food market downtown here in the Record Box. Plans are still under construction, but at this point, I thought they were supposed to open pre-pandemic. They were going to open, and then, you know, of course, the pandemic slowed everything down. So I know they are planning on opening. I'm just not sure of a date yet.
So we found lots of different venues all around town for being able to access, at least during the summer months and fall and the harvest.
Right.
Well, not all the summer months, but of course when you can, well, Miss Gloria knows she harvests the garden, but there are those. And then the food pantry seems to be able to have some of those things all throughout the year, right?
The food pantry, yes. And I'll mention again, even though it's not in the Post neighborhood, and you can visit it, is our sister church, St. Peter's, who operate year-round. So, there's a venue, but of course you have to have transportation to get there. And there's no discrimination as to who can visit that. You don't have to live in the neighborhood as you have to if you're dealing with the food pantry in your area. That only expands, to a certain
Right. And if I wanted fresh food, though, would St. Peter have it year-round, or is it just when Trinity is sharing its garden?
No, because before, in fact, when I took the supply a couple weeks ago, because I was working at their pantry, I took the supply of food. And when I got there, I noticed they already had lots of produce that they purchased from the food bank. So that is available. Meats, everything. And it's not, the way I understand it, it's not restricted to just people in that neighborhood.
Very nice.
So, they do have that year-round, which even surprised me.
Does anybody know, because I just sat here thinking about this, and I don't know why this popped into my head or why we didn't include it in our research, but that food delivery, where you can have food delivered to your door, right? Ship it or whatever it's called. Can you use a bridge card to access that?
I don't think so. I think it has to be a debit card. I don't know. That's something we'd have to look into. I don't know.
Because I wonder if that's like an answer or something. One of the things that Co-op does is we have a few members who carpool to the grocery store. So if you have someone that lives near you and you know that they can't get there, generally they'll carpool up and all go to Walmart or Myers or something together. So that's an answer to it. But that was the only thing that we really seen that was transportation was difficult, and that you may not be able to get access to be able to have it all month or year round.
Right.
But that there were lots of venues around town to be able to get fresh food.
Right. And one of the perks, I guess if you want to call it that, with the food pantry down at the United Methodist that we work at, is that they also service the homeless. It isn't just where we always make sure that there is a supply of like pop open cans and stuff, because they
Wouldn't have a can opener.
Right, they wouldn't have a can opener. They may not even have access to a stove to cook, so they can eat out of the cans, and they have bowls for them. They give them plastic or anything.
Nice.
So it isn't just designed necessarily for families. It's so there's not that much discrimination. Everybody is welcome to partake of the services.
One of the other food pantries, and I don't know if you have the day and times that they can go, but the Fire Hub from the casino has that pantry behind it.
That's
and
true.
They give away some really nice, nutritious foods. In fact, it's foods that they're serving to their customers at the casino could end up down in their pantry.
Yeah, I don't have that one on here. I think that one's ran independently from the food pantry. I'm not sure, but it's not on my list.
I think that's run through the casino and the Fire Hub. But folks, if you wanted more information about that, you could certainly stop down at the Fire Hub or call maybe even their website to get more information about that. I do know that they do that once a week as well, that you can get food from that location, and that's not really too far from the neighborhood.
No, it's not. And we do remind the people that come in at United Methodist, we do remind them that the Fire Hub, and again, I'm not sure what day it is, that the Fire Hub has that available, because those that come down to get from the food pantry down there can only come once a month. So there is those fill-ins that they can visit there also.
So I'm getting some access to fresh food, but not enough to last me all the time, because being able to go once a month is not going to give me enough fresh food.
It's designed really, that food pantry, that particular one. Now I can't speak for the ones out in Urbandale and out around. It's basically a emergency type thing, as opposed to something that would carry you for a whole month.
I know we have our emergency tree, and one of the things that we do at Co-op is when a member is in need, and we can't do it all the time. It's not something that you can get this every month, but things happen, and sometimes you might just have a week or so that you can't provide food for your family.
Correct. Yes.
We call all of the members in our network, and that sounds terrible because our families are in poverty. It's like, well, Teresa, you're asking them to give up food. but it really isn't that much for our families. If I give a box of macaroni and cheese and Val gives a pack of chicken and you give some hot dogs and somebody else gives some bread, it's not too much off of our plate, but you can put a pretty hearty box together for your family that's in need. And I think that it gives our family a sense of being able to give back from all that they get from the organization, that there are ways that they can help too.
That was the basis, wasn't it, for the co-op?
Yes.
Why it was organized.
Still is the basis.
The members were sharing amongst themselves.
Correct.
Yep. So, thank you for joining us again for Our View. Thank you, Gloria, for joining us today to talk about Trinity's good work and access to good food. Please continue to join us. We're here every Monday at 7 p.m. Support your local co-op. I keep pointing to this side, you guys, because it's reversed to me in the camera. The logo is over here on our nice t-shirts, but please go to our website, join us at our location at Trinity Lutheran, and purchase co-op merchandise and support our sewing hub. Thanks so much.